This is the Best of Golic and Wingo podcast.
We're going to talk to Dan Quinn, head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, but I know he's listening now as well. I'd like him to hear it as well. We had Lorenzo Alexander, the linebacker, on for the Buffalo Bills, been in the league, 34 years old, been in the league forever, special teams guy for a lot of those years. He gave his thought on just what he thought, how they would change the kickoff and what direction it might go. There's different ways. If you make that more into a punt style thing, now we're kind of running alongside each other and you're more body blocking and, trying to press guys out and get positioned that way. You can kind of eliminate some of those high impact shots that some guys are taking, just sitting there trying to absorb and take a charge, which you're taught to do, and try to prevent the guy from making a tackle.
So that was Lorenzo Alexander, linebacker of the Buffalo Bills. Atlanta Falcons head coach Dan Quinn joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. So, Dan, what do you make of Lorenzo Alexander's idea?
Well, good to be on with you guys, and I think Lorenzo's on it. There's a number of discussions that we can do or can have, and possibility of eliminating some of the two-man wedges, and I'm sure both senior and junior have been a part of many of those, and also moving some of the back line up, where you don't have to have the distance for the collision. So that's a big part of it, and we're just trying to get where we can eliminate some of these hits that have caused some concussions, the ones that lower in the head. That those are where really the majority of them have. So that's really where the rule came from, and but Lorenzo's right. There's other ways that we can make it better, and just like most things, players adapt, coaches adapt. I'm sure Mike Sr., the wham and cut play, you didn't mind when they couldn't come, from outside the box and cut you anymore. So, we adjusted, and players and coaches changed. So, I think that'll be the case with this too. So, I was pumped to go up and be a part of it, and hopefully, in a lot of ways, make the game better. Players will adjust, and we'll get to how they're going to penalize the head coming into the play and the helmet coming into play in a minute. But we know for sure they're not getting rid of the kickoff, at least anytime soon. Are they when this year starts, Dan, will the kickoff look different, or is it something that will be put off for a while, or will something happen this year? I think there could be something that happens this year, Mike. And the reason I say that is they're getting together again today, this afternoon, the competition committee, to kind of finalize some thoughts to bring back to the owners one last time. So I think that could be something. I think the change isn't going to be a radical one, but the small changes, kind of like I suggested, is it moving the back line up? Is it, no more of the two-man wedge type things, which would basically, in some ways, take rid of some of the offensive linemen who are back on the wedge and use that as more, of the, typical special teams, linebackers, DBs, running backs, that crew, in that phase.
Thank God is all I can say as a former offensive lineman. On that, talking to Dan Quinn on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line, I'm interested, how much conversation about this do you hear from players, just because for so many guys, this is a way to break into the league for guys that are backups in a lot of those skill and big skill positions. This is how they first get onto the field. How concerned are players with this?
You know what? I addressed that with the team yesterday. I'd gotten back and, kind of talked to the team and just about, what we'd discussed. And so from a concern standpoint, there shouldn't be, because we're going to have the same amount of special teams plays. And I think in a positive way, if we can, really, keep pushing this, to, really reduce the amount of concussions, like that's our number one job as teachers, which are coaches. So we kind of made the pact, hey, some of us, let's make some, training tapes basically at each position. You guys probably sat in team meetings, and like for both of you, it might have shown like a DB doing the hit. It didn't really apply to either of you. So let's make one that's just specific for an offensive lineman, specific for a receiver, a DB, a linebacker, a fullback. And I think those are the teaching moments that we can all share amongst the 32 teams, and where everybody's, kind of speaking the same language. And I think that would help too.
Talking right now with Dan Quinn, the Atlanta Falcons head coach, Super Bowl champion with the Seahawks. And obviously, Dan, a guy who's been around football, been working in the NFL since 2001. I'm sure you've heard that when it comes to special teams. People saying, listen, this is where certain guys can make their name. If you take out kickoffs, all of a sudden you're removing that. But what would you say is a counter to that, if indeed this goes in that direction?
Well, I don't think it'll go that way this year. And like most things, let's give us a chance to get it exactly right and the best thing for the players. Let's make sure in all instances we're always taking care of them in the right way. So what I would say is, let's make the necessary adjustments. Players, coaches, we've adapted for years. So let's do it again. And if we can make the kickoff phase better, let's do that. And so that's kind of what our aim is, and that's what I hope the committee decides to do.
In this offseason, Dan, everybody was waiting for them to, how are they going to define a catch? And then that was blown out of the water by all of a sudden that use of the helmet, by any position was going to result in a flag and possible ejection, and everybody was going, wow, okay, wait a minute. How has it been explained to you on how they are going to enforce that on the field?
And that's probably the ones I think that we need to make the training tapes on, Mike. So in other words, for let's just say a defensive end, and he's in a real wide 9, is that big bull rush where he really lowers his head? Is that a foul? Because a lot of them, like, let's face it, the running back who drops his head near the contact, that's not going to change. We're not going to ask a running back who's, about to get tackled to stay upright. So I think it's going to be really specific to the position. And that's why I think as long as we can train the guys, these are some of the things that could be fouled. And at the end of it, I think, Mike, it'll end up being the ones that really look bad. Those are the hits we need out of the game. There's certainly going to be helmet contact that's initiated where it's lowered. So I think there has to be some judgment upon those. The one that's, not a big hit, that's not going in that way, I think they'll use their best judgment at those ones.
Talking to Dan Quinn on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And Coach, I'm interested, do you feel better equipped to handle this considering your background? I mean, you coach with Pete Carroll. You guys in Seattle were among the first to start teaching that rugby-style tackling that began taking the head out of a lot of these hits. Do you look at that as, what was your guys' motivation for getting started on that really before I think a lot of the league has started to look at that?
Number one, just for the first part of it, we still think you can be tough as hell, but let's make sure if we can take care of the players better and really emphasize, the shoulder and the tackle, that's a big part of it. But even us, when we go back through and watch the cut-ups, there's definitely, examples of a player not doing that. And for years, tackled this way in high school and in college. So it's not going to be, in just, one, training session fixed. And I think that's the same thing with this rule. This is a long-term plan, to get our game better. You guys recognize that. So I think there'll be some on-the-job training as it's going to keep getting it better. And I think as we look, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, if we're just going to keep improving, where we're able to keep our head up, use our shoulders more, the game gets better. And but I don't think it's, in one season going to, all of a sudden this is the new rule and it changes everything. I think it's, work in progress as we go, but I'm pumped that it's a first step for it.
Going down to the youth leagues, I think this next youth league crew all the way up to whatever ones make it to professional sports, you could see a whole different swing in how the game is played by technique. But just as you mentioned, this year and the next few years, but let's go to training camp. Let's go to in-season when you only have 14 padded practices. Training camp, only 1 padded practice a day, and a lot of it isn't full go. How do you practice this stuff correctly?
I know it, man. That's really one of the topics we had, and I was sitting with Todd Bowles, and we had discussed, and for both of us heading into our first preseason game for this year, we'll have had 8 padded practices. And so our concern was, we're going to have, a huge amount of fouls in our first game. But, we encourage, hey, man, let's have the officials at, just as many practices as we can, because a lot of this is only going to be really evaluated when the pads come on, because during all the OTAs, the mandatory minicamp, those portions, obviously, you're not lowering your head anyway. So those first, few weeks of training camp, I think there's going to be, significant training, having the officials there and really having good dialogue about, what's a foul and what's not a foul. So as we get into the preseason games, Mike, I think that's going to be an important time that we take those games to really nail it and get it better as we're heading into the regular season.
Excellent perspective, definitely on safety in the game right now. Talk with Dan Quinn, the Falcons head coach. I do want to ask you specifically about your team, Coach, and the fact you added a dynamic receiver, Calvin Ridley, out of Alabama. What are you hoping to see from him?
Just that explosiveness and, the amount of explosive plays, that Cal was able to generate, during his time at Alabama. We're pumped to see him as be a part of our offense and get rolling with that. So that was the big thing, having another complement in our offense to be able to attack. And so that's really what, how we want to feature him. And we'll play him at a number of different spots, both outside and inside. So we're looking forward to getting them here. They arrive next Thursday, so a week from today, and we're looking forward to adding those guys to the mix.
Yeah, great Alabama chatter between Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. Why not? Just more Alabama talk between those guys. Coach, we really appreciate your time. Going to be real interesting when that training film comes around in training camp for all these players to see what may affect their position. I agree with you. That's going to be an important time. We appreciate your time this morning. Thanks.
Yeah, back at you guys, and let's share that with everybody. It goes down to college, to high school, and it's all of our responsibility to, keep the game that we all love, pushing forward in the right way.
Great point, Dan. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Coach.
All right. See you guys.
Golic
and Wingo.
and Wingo.
Trey Wingo and Mike Golic Sr.
It's Golic and Wingo.
So is that resolvable?
Well, yeah, everything's resolvable. Starts with getting everybody in the same room.
Yeah. And everybody communicating, which for some reason can be very difficult to do. Yeah. It ends up being a he said thing. Nobody wants to get
And sometimes they can't be resolved. God, I hate you guys. I get caught on tape just basically disagreeing with myself. Yeah. SportsCenter brought to you by Amazon. Mother's Day is coming up. Instead of getting her the same expected gifts, find millions of gifts as unique as her on Amazon. You get free shipping on eligible orders over $25. Shop now at Amazon.com/Mother's Day.
Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. As always, we're presented by Progressive Insurance. I'm Adnan Virk in for Trey. And speaking of Mother's Day, we love this story.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Patrick Beverley's mom had herself a day on The Price is Right. By the way, think of game shows you like to be on. Price is Right's number one for me. Family Feud a close second, but I think The Price is Right would be so much fun.
I love Price is Right. We're going to throw it out there at Golic and Wingo. If you could be on a game show, which one would it be and why? You know what one of my favorite is?
Family Feud.
$10,000 pyramid or the $100,000 pyramid where I could win more. Password. I love Password as well. But Price is Right is great because you get multiple chances to win. And even if you get up on stage and you lose, you still get a chance to get in the showcase with the wheel, with spinning the wheel.
It is multiple chances. In the showcase, just to be able to spin the wheel once.
But Patrick Beverley's mom, Lisa, she was fantastic. So she got to come on down, as they say. Mm-hmm. She won on bidding against the three others when they had to bid on the prize.
I love this move. You bid $1.
Everybody went high. She was the last to bid. She bid $1 on kitchen appliance package. Mm-hmm. She won. She got to play Let 'Em Roll. She correctly guessed that, what is it?
Zizol. It's an allergy medication.
Was more expensive than garlic.
That's a cholesterol pill.
Thank you. Which was more expensive than mouthwash, which gave her a couple of extra rolls where she won a car.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have the drop of her winning the car.
Yep. One more time.
Unbelievable. So she gets up and plays the game, plays Let 'Em Roll, wins a car. Then she goes to the wheel to get into the Showcase Showdown. Dude in front of her rolls 95 cents. I mean, she's got to get $1 to beat him.
It's tough.
She gets $1 to beat him.
Yes.
Can you imagine the dude standing there at 95 cents thinking there's only one thing that can beat me and it beats me and he gets knocked out of that?
Irate.
So she goes to the showcase where there's another car and a trip to Madagascar and she wins that. She bid $22,000 on the Showcase Showdown. So she got 2 cars and a trip to Madagascar. The one thing I will say.
Yeah.
The total value of the day was over $41,000. With a trip to Madagascar and 2 cars.
You're not flying first class.
What the hell kind of cars were they?
Smart cars.
2 cars and a trip and other stuff that she won and it's 41 G's. I mean, but what a day.
No, amazing.
And I love that show. How cool that, and listen, she got the show. She understood it, going up there and doing her thing. She was quick with the $1.
Yeah.
I mean, she knew her
you have
stuff.
To know the game well. And
she knew her stuff.
You've got to know household appliances like the back of your hand. You've got to know prices of everything, right?
She was great. She had a great shirt on that said NBA Mom as well.
Clippers logo for Patrick Beverley.
Very, very cool. It was what a great moment. She just absolutely cleaned up.
Price is Right is awesome. But how great is Jeopardy? Alex Trebek, fellow Canadian.
No shot.
No, but listen, that's
I can't win at Jeopardy. I have no shot at winning at Jeopardy.
No.
I shop all the time.
Right.
I have a chance on Price is Right to guess some prices. Right. I have 0. Is there less than 0? Unless there is a second grade version or a simple math version of Jeopardy, I'm out.
You're belying your Notre Dame education. When they throw up Renaissance painters, you're like, all right, I've got this. Go ahead. I'm going to go back.
Seriously? There is 0 shot
but
of
the
me
bragging
doing that.
rights of Jeopardy. Remember Ken Jennings? He was unbelievable. That run he went on, like
but remember that stuff. That's a select group, Adnan, of a very small percentage of people that would have bragging rights on Jeopardy. Right. I mean, the common person, the regular Joe and Jane out there would have a much better chance, right? At Price is Right. Would you rather win at Price is Right? How about Wheel of Fortune?
Wheel of Fortune's kind of nice.
I like Wheel of Fortune.
Vanna White, sure.
I do dig that.
Yeah.
But if you had one game show, what would you go on?
I think it would be Jeopardy.
Oh,
I think Jeopardy's a great, because if you win at Jeopardy, people really give you love.
You have that much?
No, I don't have much confidence.
No. What do you think you could actually win at?
Movie categories, I would do well.
Okay, there's a bunch of categories. You're looking for one movie category there?
Movies and sports, I would do well.
I
Pop culture,
can't believe that you would want to go on Jeopardy. That's the one you...
Listen, it'd have to be that one. They do it for college students.
Yeah.
Do the week of college
I would
students.
need
a little bit easier.
Great kindergarten students. I mean, seriously.
Sports Jeopardy. Dan Patrick hosts that, so maybe Sports Jeopardy. Sports Jeopardy you would do.
Sports Jeopardy I would do. I still wouldn't feel comfortable. I would way rather do...
Russian literature for 100 hours.
Oh, my God. I would just hit the button every time and throw out a guess and have so much negative amounts out there.
You'd be purposely trying to screw over
I really think my favorite show, and again, we want it out there, at Golic and Wingo, which would you want to be on and why? I love the Pyramid. Love the Pyramid. I would be so nerve-wracking being in those two seats.
I think Family Feud's great, though, because if somebody lets you down, you can...
I do like Family Feud. I hate the fact that they clap on every answer. It's a bad answer. Just say, man, that was a stupid answer.
Yeah.
Why'd you say it? We're family.
Yeah. I'd love to see the Stugotz family on Family Feud.
Wow.
We'll go live to Miami, talk to the man who would win at Jeopardy. Stugotz next. Golic and Wingo.
Golic
I tell you what, a great sports night last night, no doubt about it.
and Wingo.
What a day, what a show, what a time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm a one-trick pony. Literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter. When Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la. Aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Stugotz, he joins us now. Of course, part of the Dan Levitard Show with Stugotz. Golic and Wingo is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade to shaving with a fresh blade whenever you want for a fraction of the price. Join dollarshaveclub.com today. All right, Stu, I love the show. I love you, but you're awfully tough on my Raptors. I just think it's very simple to say that the Raptors are done. There's no way, Stu. That we're looking for nuance. We're looking for meaning. We're looking for the best bench in basketball and stars. And Toronto wins tonight, right? I know you don't think they're going to win the series, but Toronto wins tonight.
The series is over. I'm not tough on your Raptors. LeBron is tough on your Raptors, man. Like, what are you talking about? Listen, the series is over. I know what you said. Hey, team goes down 0-2. They've never come back and win a series. Adnan, the series is over. It was over before it started. It was over the second the Raptors were playing LeBron James. The series is over. Valanciunas had 19 bunnies with 8 seconds to go in game one in that final quarter, and he could connect on one. The game is over. It's a terrible matchup. DeRozan and Larry, you keep trotting the same backcourt out there every single year. DeRozan's afraid to take a 3 late in the game. He's afraid to take a couple of 2s late in the game. Larry's just not good enough. LeBron can lock him up whenever he wants. Valanciunas is okay. And listen, here's the thing. LeBron came out. It's like pouring salt on the wound. Came out and said that was the worst game I played, not in the playoffs, all season, Adnan. So you don't need to worry about who's going to get the points for them tonight. Is it going to be J.R. Smith or Kyle Korver, Tristan Thompson? I heard you guys talking about that. No. The teammates bailed LeBron out in game one, and now tonight, LeBron bails them out in game two and gives you like 50, 60 points tonight.
Van Vliet was taking your last shot in regulation and in overtime.
I know.
I mean,
It's an open three.
Good luck. Happen. And Stugotz, you are the king of glass cracked, not even half full. How do these Raptor fans wrap their heads around what's going on for another year?
Listen, I don't know. Adnan would be a better person to ask. I don't know how you deal with this. Like, listen, I'm dealing with my own problems over here, Mike. I got the Mets and I got the Jets and I got my own. I'm not going to tell Adnan and Raptor fans how to deal with their issues, but it's a tough one. Listen, LeBron James is obviously one of the 2 or 3 greatest players we've ever seen. Adnan, I don't know. How do you deal with this? Because if they lose this series, let's say they go out in 4 or 5 games, whatever it is, okay? You want to come back again with DeRozan and Kyle Lowry? Is that what you want? Because it just doesn't work, Adnan.
This is where you're great, Stu. You're the arbiter of fandom and what's right and what's wrong. And I think you'll agree with me on this. If the Raptors fold their tent, if they get swept, or God forbid, they lose the series in 5, then I think as a card-carrying fan of the team, you can relinquish them. Like, I'm not a fan of dropping your team. I used to always believe in lifelong fandom. I think if you're a Raptors fan, if you've seen them suffer like this, you go, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm going somewhere else. I'll go be a Warriors fan. I'll be a Rockets fan. I'll be whatever the hell I want, because you're right. This is that litmus test. This is the best team they've had. This is the best chance they've had. Home court, blah, blah, blah. If you cough this one up, you're right. People should mock you for good reason, and the fans can go away in droves.
Yeah, they're going to mock you, but where do you go? I mean, you're in Toronto. Where are you going to go? Like, where are you going, Adnan?
Minnesota's close enough to the border. There's a lot of Canadians in Minnesota. We could do that. We're talking with Stugotz right now. Listen, you mentioned you're a Jets fan. I'm well aware of your fandom. You must be overjoyed, man. I was so happy for you. Sam Darnold, listen, that's the safest pick. Baker Mayfield, maybe a bit of a risk for the Browns. I do think he's going to be great. And Kirk Herbstreit said to me, he thinks Baker Mayfield is Drew Brees 2.0, which is as high praise as you can get. But you as a Jets fan got to go, Sam Darnold, that's as good as it gets for us.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm a Jet fan, so I'm trained to think whichever quarterback they picked is going to be out of the league in the next 5 years. Like if Sam Darnold, Adnan, was drafted by the Giants, I tell you he's going to the Hall of Fame. But no, he's drafted by the Jets, so he's out of the league in 5 years. I don't know. You know, the Jets GM was doing an interview the other day, and he said we moved up 3 spots to number 3 in the draft to get Sam Darnold, and then later on in the interview said that they never thought Sam Darnold would be there, which means he really did trade up to get Sam Darnold if he didn't think Sam Darnold was going to be there. I happen to think the guy that they actually moved up for and wanted is Baker Mayfield. But listen, I've had enough people who pore over the film and study this stuff tell me that Sam Darnold is the best quarterback in this draft. So maybe a little bit of luck here for the Jets with the Browns going Baker Mayfield, and maybe the Jets actually did get the best quarterback in the draft. Only time will tell on that. So I guess I'm as excited as I could be being a Jet fan, a tortured Jet fan.
Were you excited when you have Josh McCown, who's been around forever, be really good in the quarterback room, and right now is at least listed as the starter and get the chance. You bring in Teddy Bridgewater, who really had a promising career going in one direction, coming off the knee injury. How would you like to see the quarterback situation play out for your team this year? Who's on the field the most?
I mean, listen, I kind of want to see Darnold right away, but I know that's not the reality. So I'm kind of okay with the situation, Mike. It's a great point. The Jets have a very good situation here where they have a veteran quarterback for Darnold to learn under for maybe a year or two. And then you have some upside. So you got the veteran guy, you got the rookie guy that everyone loves, and then you got the unknown in Teddy Bridgewater. And there's a ton of upside there. You know, Teddy Bridgewater, before the injury, a lot of people were saying was going to be a really, really good quarterback. So I kind of like the way the Jets are going to go the veteran route here, at least for the first half of this season. We'll see how that goes. And then maybe Sam Darnold gets a shot at some point midway through the season, towards the end of the season. It really depends on record, right, how the Jets are doing here. But I like the situation. You got the big time rookie here with the number 3 pick out of USC. You got a veteran quarterback, and you get Teddy Bridgewater kind of in the middle with all this upside. If it doesn't work out, not a big deal. You didn't spend too much money.
10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern, the Dan Levitar Show with Stugotz. You can always catch him there, plus the local hour in Miami. All right, Stu, let's get to the major news here, okay? Jason Witten is in as the Monday Night Football analyst, and I feel for you as a friend, as a terrific talent. I know you were pushing for this, much like how Kornheiser was, comic relief, provocateur. Right. You would have been that great guy. Do you still think you have a chance here? Third man in the booth?
Third man in the booth, yeah.
I think I have zero chance. Zero chance. I don't have a chance. But listen, I'm happy. Like if Jason Witten, I'm happy for Witten. This is all I've said. Dan and I have said this forever. Okay? We get having a Jason Witten in the booth. All we've ever said is, I don't think there's enough people in the booth. There's not anyone really in the booth that represents the way fans watch a football game. How they react at home, the emotional roller coaster of watching their favorite team play in a game. And I've always said, what's the harm? Like, you don't even need announcers at this point. People are just tuning in for the game. They're not tuning in for the announcers. And so if you put a couple of guys in there, I don't know, it could be Adnan, it could be Mike Golic Jr., it could be me, it could be Levitar, Bomani Jones, Pablo Torre. You put those guys in there, guys who are going to say some stuff. Adnan, it'd be so great if I'm watching Monday Night Football and all of a sudden you just bust out on some sort of movie rant. Like, I would love to see that, and I think the fans would too, because listen, I don't know if we're really paying attention to the announcers. I know I'd be paying attention to Adnan if he was talking about movies on Monday Night Football. That would be fun.
You're a good man, Stu.
I just feel like maybe there's a spot for me there, but I think Jason Witten's going to have issues with that. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm just mad that Witten's making more money than me. That's really what
if you were the third, if you were the third man in the booth, what would you bring to the broadcast? What would Stugotz be known for when the game was over? We'd say, wow, Stugotz really brought it here.
I'd be an emotional roller coaster, Mike. That's it. That's the way fans like one possession, my quarterback would be the best quarterback in the NFL, and the next possession, he would be the worst quarterback in the NFL. It would go pass to pass, play to play, drive to drive. I'd rip my coach. I'd rip the other coach. I'd rip teams' fans. I'd watch the game the way fans watch the game at home. I think we need that. I absolutely think we need it. I just don't think the person to do it is going to be me.
A terrific running bit you guys have had on the show, which has appalled our friends John Shammy and Tim Kirchin, is looking at baseball legends as compilers. Can you please, for the audience, explain your stance and the show's stance on legends like Hank Aaron, Cal Ripken, and such?
I wish I had Guillermo in here because this is a Guillermo joint right here.
Hank Aaron never hit 50 home runs in a season.
Yeah, Adnan, can you help me out? I mean, there are certain guys who compiled stats. I mean, right. Nolan Ryan. He was a great pitcher, right? But 300 wins, it took him like 27,000 years to get to 300 wins. By the way, he also had 294 losses or something like that, which means he was really like 11-10 every year he pitched in the majors. Right. I mean, the point of a pitcher is to win games. I know the strikeout numbers are good. I get it. But listen, when you hang around for 25 years, of course you're going to win you're going to win 300, right? Like that's pretty obvious, right?
Stanczyk has your back. Craig Biggio, total compiler. That adds to your list of guys who just played forever. Yeah.
Yes, played forever, right? You play that long, you're going to get 3,000 hits, right? You play that long. So, yeah, there are a bunch of guys who compile. I have a question for you, though, Adnan. I heard you talking about the little patch you put behind your ear earlier this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Cruise ships. So, the first time I went on a cruise, I got really nauseous. But I maintain that the patch doesn't really work. It's kind of like airborne. I'm not certain airborne really works. I think it's just the psychological effect of putting the patch on or taking airborne that makes you actually feel better. Do you agree with that or no?
I got to tell you this, Stu. I don't know if that's accurate, but it is a terrifying feeling being on that cruise ship. Right? I got 3 kids. Yes. My wife, like, what's wrong with you? Why do you feel like you want to empty out of your own skin? I'm like, I'm going to get off here. Wait, I can't. I'm on a boat for the next week. Somebody help! I'm surrounded by Disney characters.
I don't disagree with that, Stugotz. That would be known as the placebo effect, is what you're talking about.
Oh,
there.
Really, Mike?
Yeah.
Really? Well, you knew that right off the top of your head, huh?
It was written on the screen.
You don't think you'd be good on Jeopardy, Mike Golic?
Oh, all right. Let's get to that. So, again, Patrick Beverley's mother, Lisa, won 2 cars and a trip to Madagascar, over $41,000 worth of prizes on The Price is Right. She was fantastic. So, Stugotz, what game show would you want to be on? Do you think you could do well on?
Mike, I'm kind of with you. It's got to be one of those kind of lucky game shows. First off, I'm insulted that you wouldn't bring me on the Family Feud. Very insulted about that. Listen, Jeopardy's not going to work out for me. Sports Jeopardy might work out for me. Stump the Schwab is a show I think I'd be good at. That's an old school ESPN game show right there. I think I got to go with Press Your Luck. No whammies. Remember that show?
Oh, yes.
No whammy.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't feel like I need to know a lot of information. I don't know a lot of information. I don't have to answer any questions. I just hit a button. If I get lucky, I win some money. I'm good with that. I think that's the game show for me.
All right. Now the most important thing. You do this every year. It makes me uncomfortable, yet I can't stop listening. When you call these big-time restaurants a day or two before Mother's Day when they are obviously sold out and you try and get reservations for 6 or 8 at prime time, do you have your restaurant picked out this year that you're going to do that to?
We do not have it. We are going to do it. We'll do it next week. We do not have the restaurant picked out. I think last year I did, what did I do? I did the toughest restaurant in New York City to get a reservation on Mother's Day, and we called the day of, and I got myself a table of 6 at 7:30 prime time, baby.
Unreal.
So we haven't figured out, we haven't figured out which restaurant we're going to run with yet, but once I have that information, I will pass along. We will do it next week. Listen, you never know. I might drop Adnan's name. I might drop Golic's name. We'll see what happens here. But I'm definitely going to get in, and we will be doing it next week. And, Mike, I'm glad that you said that. That's the perfect way, right? You're entertained by it, but you're also cringing at the same time.
I'm cringing. I feel like I need to shower after it. I don't feel like I should be listening to it, and yet I can't turn away. It's unreal.
It's admirable, of course. Yeah.
It is absolutely incredible, but you absolutely pull it off every time you just cold call these places and get in. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mike. It's my gift. And I do want to tell you that I do that off air as well. That's just not an on air bit. That's the way I get reservations last minute at restaurants. And Mike Golic Mike Golic, I will tell you this. I have dropped your name before off air privately to get myself a nice little reservation at a restaurant.
You use me.
Done that, Mike.
You use me any way you see fit, Stugotz. I give you my blessing.
I hope it works.
I appreciate
again.
that.
Nobody can deny.
Adnan, if I'm ever in Toronto, I'll drop your name, Adnan.
Please do. The Stugotz is strong in all of us. Always great stuff, Stu. Thanks, you, buddy.
Stu. See you, man.
All right, and Adnan, at least you get to lose early tonight. 6 o'clock starts, and you know by 8 o'clock that your season's over.
Listen, man, I'm back tomorrow. I'm going to call into your show. You guys are going to interrupt me and fade me in and out, but it's going to happen tomorrow. They're going to win. I promise you.
Whatever.
This is way inside, but is Andrew Brandt part of Team Canada? How does this work?
Oh, my God.
He loves Federer and the Raptors.
Wow.
That's
Thanks,
the best.
Stu. Appreciate it.
Golic and Wingo.
It was all sort of one big giant Jell-O mold. It's very interesting where that went.
Adnan Virk in for Trey, Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. As always, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests in the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Coming up 15 minutes from now, we'll talk about an NFL story gaining traction off the field for all the wrong reasons. But Love It or Shove It, brought to you by Granger, our friend Bubba. Listen, you're fired up. Cowboys dominating across the board. So those are the TV graphics we just heard by here. I want to start with this before we get into Love It or Shove It.
Sure.
Mets right now. Listen, good start to the season. Jacob deGrom,
Great
though.
start.
Hyperextended elbow. Yoenis Cespedes losing diamonds on the diamond. How are we feeling right now?
I mean, I'm not too concerned about his diamonds, but I'm concerned about DeGrom. Yeah,
I would think so, right?
Of the two, what are you more concerned?
Is this an uh-oh moment that the Met fans are going to start to go through?
Oh, hold on, my jersey.
Yeah, your jersey number's coming off.
Yeah, this is a new Van Der Esch jersey.
Yeah,
pre-ordered.
This is unbelievable.
No, yeah. DeGrom, give him a few days off. It's rare. Hyperextended for a pitcher is rare.
Yeah.
But
remember, he did it swinging a bat, not pitching.
Yeah. It's all right, though. He's a good hitter.
All right.
Give him his all.
Feeling okay.
All right.
Listen, I'm very excited about the Cowboys.
By the way, Bubba, for those that are listening on the radio, he is wearing a Jason Witten jersey.
No, this is a Leighton Van Der Esch jersey.
With a Leighton Van Der Esch with the number 55 drawn poorly on pieces of paper.
Drawn poorly?
Taped over.
Even crushed your penmanship.
No, I sent this in. I said, hey, I just said, hook me up with a Leighton Van Der Esch jersey and Cowboys.com.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Check it out. Check it out on our Instagram
First
story.
team All Mountain West.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they don't just give that out to everyone.
Yeah. Just people in the Mountain West.
Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen.
Heading to the Cowboys.
We can leave that off the Instagram story. That part of it.
It'll be flying off the shelves, I'm sure, later today.
All right.
What do we got here, Bubba?
Wow. Let's go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this question for real? You guys serious with this question?
This is a great question. Come on.
The Raptors will win at least 2 games against the Cavs this series.
I know where you're laughing, because obviously they're going to win 4 games against the Cavaliers this season. They're going to win this series.
All right.
And the entire country is mocking Toronto. When they win, you're all going to be bowing down to me. So just keep that, all right? Keep that in mind.
I quite honestly, I actually think they win 2 games.
Yes.
They're going to lose the series, but I think they're going to win 2 games. So by definition of this question, I will have to say love it, correct?
They're the better team. They've got more talent. Yes, game 1 was demoralizing, but they're going to overcome this, all right?
I shoved everything you said there, by the way.
Game 2 tonight, 6 Eastern, ESPN Radio. If the Raptors lose tonight, obviously it's over. Go ahead, Bubba.
Steph Curry is the most important player in the NBA playoffs. Love it or shove it.
Oh, that's a complete shove it. Without Steph Curry, I'm sorry, they can still make it to the finals.
They can still win the finals.
They can still win. Without LeBron James, the Cavaliers have 0 shot. Yeah. LeBron James is the most important person in the playoffs. For a guy that's been to 7 straight playoffs, a guy finals.
Right,
the guy that leads his team there all the time. He is the most important person in the playoffs.
And I would say Durant is more important to the Warriors than Curry.
I would agree with that.
At this point, Durant, I think, is invaluable. Yep. So I think Steve Kerr is just trying to hype up his guys.
We both shove it.
I believe Brett would like to chime in. This is his question, so we just want some clarification.
Sure.
Brett.
I love it because I wrote the question, but also because you put Steph Curry on the Warriors, and the Warriors were unbeatable. I think when they had Durant and Clay and Draymond toward the end of the season, they weren't beating up on everybody.
Can I ask you a question? If you take Steph Curry off Golden State, do they have still a pretty good chance to win the title?
Pretty good chance.
If you take LeBron James off the Cavaliers, they have a chance to win the title?
No.
Turn your microphone off. Turn your microphone off. Turn his microphone off. We're done.
Warriors
we are
fan
done.
Yeah,
holy smokes.
We'll talk Sharks later.
Yeah. All right.
A rookie quarterback will start in week 1 of the NFL season. Love it or shove it.
Man, Adnan, you know it's going to happen.
I love it.
You?
Every year it happens.
Who is it going to be, though? Because they're all set up to not, right?
Either Baker or Sam is going to start. Baker with the Browns or Sam Darnold with the Bills. Josh Allen, the Bills, I don't think starts.
Rosen, there have to be injuries.
I don't think Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, is starting, obviously with Joe Flacco. So it's either Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold.
You didn't ask me to pick which one, thank God. So I'm going to say I love it because it's going to happen. It is going to happen. It happens every year. Yeah. So I love it.
Alexander Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals and Chris Paul of the Houston Rockets will both make their respective conference finals for the first time in their careers.
Wow.
I love it or shove it.
Chris Paul will. I think Houston is going to make the Western Conference Finals. Ovechkin, you're 2-1, but man, you're just waiting for that to fall apart, aren't you?
There's certain teams, Mike, that you'd never believe it until you finally see it. And the Capitals are one of those teams. They might win tonight and go up 3-1, and people say, no, I'm not going to believe it until they actually beat the Penguins. The Penguins have had their number.
They have.
There's no chance when it comes to Crosby versus Ovechkin, but if you feel like they get over that hurdle, they'll get the conference finals. Just because I'd love to see it, I'm going to love it,
you know what?
even though I'm skeptical. But I love it.
I for the exact same reasons Adnan loved it, I'm going to love it as well. I don't feel overly comfortable about it, but I'm going to love it anyway.
All right, Albert Pujols will get hit number 3,000 tonight at home. Love it or shove it.
He needs 2 hits, and they're playing the Orioles, who stink.
Yeah, the Orioles are off late in 21. Pujols hit a home run last night.
Right.
Here's a great stat from Brett. 1,000th hit for Pujols came in 2006. His team won the World Series. 2,000 hit came in 2011. His team won the World Series. Angels in contention. The Astros are the best team in the West, but the Angels are a really good ball team.
So what do you think happens?
They're not going to win the World Series. But
No,
the
question.
Yes,
the question.
3,000 tonight. I love it.
You think he gets it tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, so after tonight, they have 2, 4, 5 games on the road. Love to give him
6-game road trip.
I'm sorry, 6 games. Okay. So am I counting wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4. It says 5 to me. Okay. I'm looking at 5, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just can't count. I want him to get it at home, so know that this is more out of want to than anything else. I love it.
Sure. Right. We got to get to the bottom of that Angel schedule there, huh? Brett, get on that thing.
Real quick. Okay, they play. They play May. Today's May 3rd, right?
That's correct.
They're home against Baltimore. Next game at Seattle, at Colorado. How many times have I counted?
No, you're vindicated.
That's 5 fingers, and then they're home to Minnesota.
I misspoke.
What are you doing?
Listen, give us
You're
12
supposed
more.
to lead this thing. You can't make mistakes like that.
I'm leading you down the wrong path.
Mets. The Price is Right is the game show you like most to win on. Love it or shove it?
No, shove it. Jeopardy is the one, because if you win at Jeopardy, Bubba, people go, wow, this guy Virk knows the captain. Kind of knows what he's doing around here.
The captain may catch on if you win on Jeopardy.
I can't say Jeopardy because I would have to pick something that I would actually have a chance of. I have 0 shot of winning Jeopardy.
But I'm telling you, Mike,
Adnan, I hate to say it, you have 0 shot of winning Jeopardy as well.
Movies, sports, ESPN, Canadian history.
You know what? If it's the sports edition, I would give you a shot.
All right, sports
great
Jeopardy.
Canadian sports.
Great Canadian sports moments.
Yeah. But you would have a better chance than I would. Not me. I would. Again, I'm a pyramid guy, or I'd like our family to go on Family Feud. Bubba, how about you?
Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, I like Wheel of Fortune.
I would love to have won Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh, yeah, because you can phone a friend.
Then you could be a millionaire.
Be on with Regis,
Regis is the
answer a lot of questions.
Lock in that final answer.
See, I'm not all in on games of knowledge. Okay, you got to be knowledgeable. Even though you get multiple choice in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire,
phone
you
a
do
friend.
not in
phone
Jeopardy.
A friend, I love you.
There's too much knowledge.
I can call him if I have a movie question.
If I have knowledge, I want it to be of grocery store items, which I have a better shot at. Than some painter, in the 1800s.
Do you like Family Feud when they clap after they give an answer?
I can do without that.
Hate it. Absolutely hate it. That's one thing. Let me just tell you right now.
Who is Lumiere? Okay, Lumiere.
The Golic family will not do that. We will boo one another. We will boo, possibly physically assault one another if it's a really bad answer.
That's unbelievable.
Okay? I'm just telling you the truth.
All right. If it's a bad answer, there will be repercussions.
There could be pushing and shoving.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
I can't wait till you and
Vander Esch, baby. We're throwing up the V.
Yeah.
That's
so you're done with the X.
Unfortunately, I love Dez, but we're throwing up the V this year. For this guy.
All right.
Okay.
55.
What happened?
Hey, go ahead.
That was Love It or Shove It, brought to you by Grainger, the products and services you need when you need them. Grainger's got your back to help keep your facility running. Grainger, for the ones who get it done, like me and Brett.
Brett didn't get anything done. Brett, that was a horrible question. Horrible.
No, it was fun.
Bad question about Steph Curry?
First team All Mountain West.
This is what it's come down to.
No one from Alabama won that.
Golic and Wingo.
Let's not expect too much. There's only one person out there that's expecting way too much out of this guy too early. We know who that is. It's his father.
Mike D'Antoni joins us now, the Houston Rockets head coach. Thrilled to have him on with us, two-time NBA head coach of the year. Mike, thanks so much for the time today on Golic and Wingo. You said after last night's game your team lacked energy and focus. Why do you think that is, Coach?
Well, I think it's just, or they had more. It's you talk about all the good things, try to get in that, zone where you perform at the highest level. We just didn't do it now, all kinds of reasons, and it does happen. They played better than we did. So we got to get it back. And, actually, if you look at the game, they probably did what we do, pick and rolls and ISOs better than we did. So they deserve to win it. Now we'll go to Utah and see if we can get one.
When you look at, obviously, series sports like this where it can go as many as 7 or as few as 4, but still at least 4, how much falls into the X's and O's part of a series or a managing rest and other things, expectations?
It's all connected. I don't think there's one more than the other. Most teams are playing their best and doing their best, and they put on the floor X's and O's, what they do. And, you don't come up all of a sudden, play zones or do something you've never done. So you just try to get them to play it. You make little adjustments all the time, or maybe about rotations or somebody plays a little longer or matchups. But other than that, we do what we do. We're going to shoot threes, and they do what they do. And we just got to guard it better. We just got to do a better job of getting into them and not getting them confidence and getting them loose. They got loose on us.
So along those lines, just to be specific, Joe Ingles goes for a career-high 27. Nothing really X's and O's wise changes on that, just what we're supposed to be doing when it comes to him. You have to do better?
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't anything that they didn't ISO him or he just standing over the side. Donovan Mitchell broke us down a couple times on bad switches, and then they found him wide open. And then he made a couple hard shots that give him credit for. A little combination of everything, but it's not like they ran a play for him. They don't have a lot of plays because we switch everything. So most of it is individual defense, getting into people and not letting them get by you. And we didn't do that yesterday.
Donovan Mitchell certainly has been great for the Jazz, Coach. How would you describe his game? I think not enough people appreciate how good he was in the regular season. Now everybody's aware of it, particularly your team now as you try to defend him.
Yeah, I mean, he's as good as two guard that there is in the league. I know he's a rookie, and you can say, well, this and that. No, you watch him play, and you watch his talent level, you watch his ability. He's as good as anybody at any stage of the game, and he's going to be phenomenal for, the next 10, 15 years.
As far as the team overall, going back to the regular season to now, when you have the best record in the conference, the expectations grow and grow and grow. Is that discussed by players, by you two players, or just where the expectations are?
No, we don't. Everybody knows that. It's like everybody has expectations of getting to finals or win it or whatever when you start out. Then it kind of weeds itself out to the top 5 or 6 teams. Everybody has expectations to try to win it all, knowing that it's a difficult road and there'll be ups and downs, and you try to stay even keel. But no, you don't really have to discuss that. It's like, hey guys, we need to. Well, really? They look at me like I've lost my mind. They understand what's at stake. And Chris Paul, James Harden, they've been criticized for not getting very far. I've been criticized, so we all know. But at the same time, you don't lose perspective of, that's we call that a little bit of white noise out there, and we don't. We just try to focus on what we need to do.
Talk right now with Houston Rockets head coach Mike D'Antoni on Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News. It was so funny, Coach. I know some people were skeptical about Harden and Paul on the same team. Both guys have to have the ball, and then you were so smart and saying, well, listen, I can mix and match. I can do different things. I can bring a guy off the bench, etc. What's your reaction been to just how good those two have flowed together and what you've been able to see from those two stars?
Well, it's what we imagined, the front office and us put it together, that the basic thing is you got 2 Hall of Fame guards that can, play off the ball, on the ball, and they want to share the ball and they want to make it work. So when they balled in, it was really a no-brainer. And, we haven't had any hiccups whatsoever from day one. They've just meshed and done the right, because they both play the right way in the sense, if you're open, don't pass it. If not, they'll shoot. And they're great one-on-one players. And there's just a lot of things they bring to the game. And then above all, just the willingness to share the ball and to share the limelight and try to get wins.
Mike D'Antoni, head coach of the Houston Rockets, joining us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. My sport of football, you get to the playoffs, it's one and done. Win, move on, you lose, and you're into the offseason. Again, in a series sport, how quickly do you put away a game like this, or how much do you use it before the next game?
Well, we'll use it. We'll use every breakdown that we had and try to get that better, no doubt. But mentally, and we say it all the time, even during the regular season, our motto here is, so what, what's next? So we got beat, can they beat us 3 more times? That's the whole bottom line. They might, but it's not, don't dwell on the last one. We're not changing the result. So we try to stay even keel. We don't get too high with wins. We don't get too low with losses. Figure out what we need to do better, then go out and try it again. And if that doesn't work, then try it again. So, there's a lot of things that we'll adjust to and switch up a lot of little things and just get things better.
Yeah, outside of Eric Gordon, Coach, you didn't get much production from the bench. Is that a point of emphasis going into Game 3?
Well, I mean, it always is, in a sense. You would like for them to make shots and do things, but we're not going to, I don't know how you would do that. It's always a point of emphasis. We've had a great bench, and I expect them to come through in a lot of different areas in the next game. But, again, you play your game and you do the best you can do.
It's been a great ride so far, and best of luck against the Jazz and moving forward after that. Mike D'Antoni, the Houston Rockets. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
This has been the Best of Golic and Wingo podcast. You can listen or subscribe on the ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, or just ask your smart speaker to play Golic and Wingo. Plus, you can check the guys out live weekday mornings from 6 to 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN News.